of the things that we want to do over the next few shows is take a look at the election results for 2015. For those of you that caught our show over the summer, you know that heading into the 2015 election cycle, there were going to be elections for governor. A few states had elections for state representatives and state senators. There was a ton of municipal elections going on, and there were some very interesting ballot measures. What we're going to do today is talk about 3 of the interesting ballot measures that passed that I think are going to go a long way towards, well, at least denting the cycle of dysfunction, if not leading the cause for future solution sets that will match this and maybe help us break the cycle of dysfunction and polarization. As you know, there's 4 topics that we call incumbency protection that we think lead to most incumbents getting reelected. We talk about campaign finance, where there's an edge to incumbents in bringing in money to run campaigns. We talk about redistricting, where there is an edge to the incumbents drawing the maps that they're going to run on, a big advantage, in fact. There are ballot issues, where the people in office control legislation to determine who gets on the ballot, and in many cases throw up a lot of obstacles. And then there's voter issues, where they try and perhaps limit, voting rights in order to help control the election outcomes. So in this cycle, there were 3 very interesting ballot initiatives that I want to talk about today that all won, that deal with breaking some of this cycle of incumbency protection. One of these was in Ohio, where, similar to a few other states, and we've done shows on this, they have now set up a redistricting panel. And 2 were based upon financial reforms, one in Seattle and one in the state of Maine. The one in Seattle is very exciting. It's the first in the country attempt. It's a very interesting proposition. So we're going to go to our friend the whiteboard and walk our way through the Ohio solution and the Seattle solution and drill down a bit and see what got accomplished. So in the state of Ohio, as I mentioned, they had an initiative dealing with redistricting. And what I think was absolutely fascinating is the redistricting initiative won was 71.5% in favor. That is beyond a landslide. So what they've done in Ohio, and what it includes now, is they've set up a 7-member redistricting commission. It has now a totally bipartisan process for redistricting. They have some very serious transparency proposals for hearings and sharing of information, and it is designed to eliminate political favoritism. So this is similar to what's been done in other states. You've got the commission now, you've got a bipartisan process, you have a lot of transparency, and then you have rules to help eliminate political favoritism. In Seattle, as I mentioned, they have done some very interesting things now in campaign finance reform, and they're calling them democracy vouchers. So what's interesting about Seattle, and as I said, this is a first in the country effort, they are raising money to finance local elections, and they're raising it through property taxes. So in Seattle, they're going to raise $30 million, and they're going to raise it over 9 years. So people are going to have an increase in their property taxes over 9 years of $30 million. And what that's going to allow them to do, they project, is give $25, this is $25, hopefully you can read that, $25 in the form of vouchers to the people that are registered voters, and then those people will be able to use their vouchers in the municipal elections. So again, the money will come in through property taxes, and it will be spent in the form of $25 vouchers in municipal elections. But what they've done is the further step of trying to protect the system is that the officials who are going to get this money have to agree to follow a set of rules. One of the rules is they have to agree to debate, because a lot of times incumbents won't enter into debates. So if you're taking the money, you have to agree to be in debates, and you have to agree to spending limits. Now, there are other features of this, but again, these are the main ones. Bring in $30 million, $25 vouchers, and then officials taking the money have to agree to a certain set of rules and restrictions. I didn't put the Maine results up there because they're not quite as startling, but in Maine, they have set up a few years ago something called the Clean Election System. I like the name, I don't know if it works, but it's called the Clean Election System. And they found the system wasn't working as well as they thought it needed to, so they tweaked the system. One of the more significant things they did is they've now increased the amount of money that they're going to give in form of public funding. They've increased the amount, again, of public funding, and I assume, because I haven't studied this one as much, that by increasing the level of public funding, they're trying to influence the impact of outside funding, people coming in from outside Maine and trying to influence elections. They've also then set up a set of rules that will cover, how this funding works, and in particular, let me get to my notes here, they've set up some new penalties for violations and registrations and things like that. So Maine is enhancing its existing clean elections program, whereas in Ohio we now have an institution of a redistricting process, and in Seattle a first in the country voucher system. All three of these of which are designed, as I told you, to break this cycle of dysfunction and break the polarization, all through getting at solution sets for incumbency protection. One of the things on this show we're always about is solution sets, and here's 3 exciting solutions that you could study and perhaps you can bring to your state or your municipality.